What a beautiful start to our service today. Thank you so much to our musicians. And welcome everyone to the Boulder Valley Unitarian Universalist Fellowship. I'm Reverend Lydia Ferrante Roseberry. My pronouns are she, her. And I am so grateful to be COVID-free today. I know, this is like, I just had two 48 hours apart negative tests. So for those of you who were here last week and knew that at the last minute I could not be here with you, I am so grateful to be here. And incredibly grateful to the tech crew and our service associates last week and everybody who pivoted at about, 8 o'clock in the morning before the service to make it happen. So, as you saw, today's music is provided by Tad Coriath, Daniel Fields, Amy Austin, Shelley Barnard, Debbie Larson, and Clara Kelly. That was fabulous. Today's tech team is Mary Stackpole, Karen Griglack, and Deborah Dixon-Mensch. And hello, Zoomies. I invite you to just settle into our welcome words this morning. Oh, I forgot to say that Eric is our service associate. Eric Williams is our service associate. And we're joined by Carlton Elliott Smith, the UUA's Pacific Western Region lead. So, welcome. It's a big clappy morning. I think there might be a spirit of celebration and anticipation in the air. So I welcome you to settle into this space with these beautiful people as I say our welcome words this morning. You are all welcome here today. In all the beauty of languages, cultures, skin tones, shapes, and sizes, gifts and challenges that come together in your uniqueness, you are welcome here. In all the ways that you experience and express gender, you are welcome here. In the beauty that is who you love and how you love, you are welcome here. In all the ways you make your living, all the places you are from, those are welcome here too. And with all the traditions that inform your spiritual life, you are welcome here. No matter how long you've been away, nor how soon until you return, you are welcome here. And whether your body or soul wants support today, or you arrive with the capacity to lift others up, you are invited to join us with a curious mind, a loving heart, and a willing spirit. We welcome you today. And we acknowledge that the land surrounding us is the stolen territory of the Arapaho people and that many native tribes roamed freely on this land for millennia before the arrival of white settlers. And as a congregation, we commit ourselves to being a center for spiritual exploration and justice-making, and to anti-racism and anti-oppression work within our own hearts, within this congregation, and also out in the world. I am so happy to have Carlton here again with us today. This is, we didn't know this when we planned this, but this is actually the midpoint between when I announced my departure and when I will be leaving at the end of January. You can already see what that does to me. So it's just wonderful to have Carlton here to give us perspective on this transition when we're right here in the middle and turning more and more towards the departure part of this time. If you are new here, we are glad you found us and certainly hope that you can find within this community, whether you are virtual or in person, you can feel the warmth and the love that we gather here to experience. Please come back a few times to really get to know us. We have many opportunities during the week for social connection and spiritual growth. And those on Zoom, you'll see links going into the Zoom chat right now for how you can get connected. And those in person can stop by the welcome table, which is right over there on the outside. Everyone in Zoom is welcome to stay for casual conversation or our Inquirers series, which is on social justice, and that starts about 15 minutes following the service. Those in the room also can stay for the Inquirers or join us in Fellowship Hall for coffee. Those of you in Zoom, greet each other in the chat, and especially let others know if you're a newcomer, because we love to know who's new among us. And those of you in the room, just take a moment to say hello to people near you, paying attention to someone you may not know so well. It's a high energy day. Thank you. Okay, so why don't you go up? Some mornings need not only 2 bowls, but a middle bowl to get y'all. So we're going to light our chalice, and I invite you to say the chalice words along with me. We light this chalice for the warmth of love, the light of truth, and the energy of action. And now I'll sing our bowl for the 3rd time, inviting it to draw us deeper into the present moment and the company of this gathered community. And we'll allow for a minute or so of silence for you to fully arrive here in body and spirit.
Good morning. When I write an email to one or more people here in the fellowship, I like to close with "In Community, Eric." I've never said that before becoming involved here, though I had opportunities to do so, I suppose. After all, I'd been a part of communities before. Before this one, my towns, my schools, my high school rock band with its huge fan base of 10 kids. And certainly my 4 years living in co-housing would have qualified me to sign off with "In Community." But I never did, because I never really felt like it. But here and now, it feels right. I am in community here because here I'm known and respected. Here in this rich soil of love and exploration, I have put down roots, and I have grown to become someone I like a little better than the old me. Here I've learned to judge less, to listen more, And as the Dalai Lama says, to be kind whenever possible, it is always possible. As it turns out, this UU fellowship, this community of kindness, is travel size too. I carry it with me. I do. To paraphrase the great American poet E.E. Cummings, I carry your heart with me. I carry it in my heart. His poem continues, here is the deepest secret nobody knows. Here is the root of the root and the bud of the bud and the sky of a tree called life, which grows higher than soul can hope or mind can hide. This is the wonder that keeps the stars apart. I carry your heart. I carry it in my heart. In community, Eric.
Well, we all get to make music together today, which is great news. This is in your teal hymnal, number 1008, When Our Heart is in a Holy Place. We'll sing all the verses. It kind of wraps around at the end, but I think you can figure it out. So if your body's cooperating with you this morning, you may stand. When our heart is in a holy place, when our heart is in a holy place, we are blessed with love and amazing grace. When our heart is in a holy place, when we trust the wisdom in each of us, every color, every creed and kind, and we see our faces in each other's eyes, then our heart is in a holy place. When our heart is in a holy place, when our heart is in a holy place, we are blessed with love and amazing grace. When our heart is in a holy place, when we tell our stories from deep inside, and we listen with a loving mind, and we hear our voices in each other's words, then our heart is in a holy place. When our heart is in a holy place, when our heart is in a holy place, we are blessed with love and amazing grace. When our heart is in a holy place, when we share the silence of sacred space, and the God of our hearts stirs within, and we feel the power of each other's faith, then our heart is in a holy place. When our heart is in a holy place, when our heart is in a holy place, we are blessed with love and amazing grace. When our heart is in a holy place, when our heart is in a holy place.
Each week, we remind ourselves of the abundance of our lives and this community by giving half our plate away to those organizations that share our values. This week, we give half our plate to The Mountaintop, a UU BIPOC community that's Black, Indigenous, and people of color. The mountaintop is a unique space designed with love to create a healing experience for all who attend. Whether you are BIPOC, a family member, or a UU ally, this is a space to co-create a more equitable environment within our congregations by making them free of racial bias. I hope the mountaintop creates the same feeling of being in community for BIPOC folks around the country as I feel here. You can text your donation at the number on the screen, or if you're at the fellowship today, please place a donation in the offering plate as it passes. Please give generously as you so often do. As our musical reflection begins, we invite you to reflect upon and write into the chat, if you're on Zoom, your answer to this question: what helped you feel in community?
For the work of the fellowship, which is bringing love, reason, compassion, and justice into our world, and the work of the mountaintop, we dedicate our efforts and our offerings. Each week we take time in our service to share our joys and concerns. It's our time of community, connection. It's a time of really sacred sharing. If you are on Zoom and you'd like to share a joy or a concern, you can write it into the chat. And then after everyone has shared their joys and concerns here, I will read the ones from the Zoom chat. And Eric will put a stone into our sacred waters on your behalf. If you're in the sanctuary today, you can come up front, share your joys and concern using the microphone, holding it straight out in front of you so to improve accessibility. Thank you, Eric. That was like a Taylor Swift move. And then you can add a stone to the waters, or you can add a stone in silence, of course. And wherever you are, whether on Zoom or here in person, please share your name and where you live. Thank you. And I have a couple of three last stones for you, Eric. One is for all the war-torn areas of the world, especially Gaza, the Gaza Strip, Israel, Ukraine, and Darfur, where we are also in the midst of more genocide. The second stone is for our world leaders, in hopes that they may come to see that their primary role as leaders is to uphold and sustain human life and creation, that they may turn from this place of violence and vengeance as a solution to places that really understand the incredible value of this planet and all of the life on it. And the third one is for all of the unshared joys and concerns that remain in the silent sanctuary of your hearts, knowing that even in our silence, we are bound together in the web of life. Beloveds, here we are in community, being human together, which is really all we can do. Learning and growing together, offering each other generosity of spirit as well as generosity of our time and resources to sustain this beautiful community. In the coming weeks, we will start to experience our lasts together. And our learnings will be about the bittersweet moments of parting. And doing that well, and doing that with intention, is going to be the gift that we will give each other. Let us cherish these coming days that we have left. Let us engage in joyful dancing, plenty of singing, and ringing in the holidays together. Let us also say what needs to be said of gratitude and disappointments, of promises fulfilled and broken, of joys and sorrows we've shared together. And in the midst of this, may we keep our gaze lifted toward the true suffering of the world. The individual losses amongst us as we care for those going through chemotherapy or the frail elders in our extended families. The world travesties that can feel sometimes too big to even look at. Let us not forget to be looking outward. May each of you reap the benefits of being in community, but never making this a closed circle. Always looking out at the edges beyond our community and inviting in, inviting in, inviting in. For you have so much to offer, so much abundance among you. May gratitude, generosity, abundance, and meaningful connections abound in the midst of this very special season. May this be our promise and our prayer. Amen.
This is a poem by Rumi, The Guest House. This being human is a guest house. Every morning, a new arrival, a joy, a depression, a meanness, some momentary awareness comes as an unexpected visitor. Welcome and entertain them all. Even if they're a crowd of sorrows who violently sweep your house of its furniture, still treat each guest honorably. He may be clearing you out for some new delight. The dark thought, the shame, the malice, meet them at the door laughing and invite them in. Be grateful for whoever comes, because each has been sent as a guide from beyond.
Good morning, Boulder Valley Unitarian Universalist Fellowship. It's so good to be back in this space with you all once again. The last time I was here for a Sunday service, it was on the joyous occasion of your building dedication a little over a year ago. Now, I had to leave a little before that service was over as I was rushing to catch a flight to Seattle. There, I joined the rest of the Pacific Western Region staff team for our first in-person gathering as a whole team, with one person attending remotely. If I had left 5 minutes later, I would have missed my flight. But I understood the assignment that day. Be fully present for the wonderful program, share what I had to say, and then drive like a bat out of Hades, to the Denver airport so I could be on the plane, even if I was the breathless last person to board. I take a few moments now for gratitude and for acknowledgments. Thank you to Reverend Lydia for inviting me back, and to Eric for his role as worship leader today. And I also want to say to Reverend Lydia, I love you. I appreciate you. We don't get to hang out very much, but every time we do, it's just so sweet and special. So thank you so much. I know Reverend Summer Albayati mentioned to you when she spoke here remotely a few weeks ago, but I wanted to say it too. Thank you, Boulder Valley, for hosting our second Pacific Western Region staff gathering a few weeks back in September. Our accommodations were at a couple of nearby Airbnbs, and for our meetings, we were just down the hall in the Mountain View room. David Barris gave us a wonderful tour of the building, and Millie Montgomery was available to make sure we had all the support that we needed each day. We so appreciate each of you, and that we had a chance to connect with you all over the course of those days, those that we did have a chance to connect with. And I need to give a shout out to Reverend Ruth Reinhardt, who took me to the Carousel of Happiness yesterday. That was extraordinary. I bring greetings on behalf of Reverend Summer, who is the primary contact for Boulder Valley Fellowship on the PWR team, and Reverend Sarah Gibb-Millspaugh, who also serves on the PWR team and is the proud daughter of BVUUF members Mary and Paul Gibb. The UUA Director of Congregational Life, Jessica York, to whom I report, and UUA Executive Vice President Carrie McDonald, and UUA President Reverend Dr. Sophia Betancourt. On behalf of your fellow UU congregations in the Pacific Western region and beyond, thank you once more for being an honor congregation in relationship to our UUA's annual program fund, the largest source of unrestricted funds that makes the work of our association possible, as together we equip congregations for health and vitality, support and train lay and professional leaders, and advance Unitarian Universalism in the world. You will hear this again from Reverends Lauren Smith and Vale Weller of our UUA Stewardship and Development Office when they come in a few weeks. I'm grateful for this chance to build upon what I shared with you all in October of last year. And yet, so much has changed in the course of the past year. Since I was with you last, I moved from Portland, Oregon, where I lived for 6 months, to Berkeley, California, where I lived for 4.5 months. And then, following that, just down the highway to Colorado Springs, where I've been for the past 6 months. I will leave Colorado this coming weekend for Southern California as I continue to sojourn for a while in each of the historic districts of our Pacific Western region, which are now merging and dissolving into a single unified region, as has already happened in each one of the other 4 regions of our Unitarian Universalist Association. As a side note, I've loved being a temporary Coloradan. More than ever, I know the allure that draws tourists and new residents to the area in droves. Also, on a personal note and a wider UUA note, this was the year that we said farewell to the Reverend Yelbanzi Charles Johnson, founder of the Church of the Restoration in Tulsa, who was my former partner and one of Reverend Lydia's professors and mentors at Starr King School for the Ministry. Another beloved now at rest. As an association, things have changed a bit too, as we now have Reverend Dr. Sophia as our new president, just elected at our UUA General Assembly in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, back in June. Yep, that's good news. The reimagining of how we talk about and codify our values continues to advance due to the work of General Assembly delegates and that of the Article II Commission. You might have heard in recent months that the Pacific Western region is coming to Denver, April 19th and 20th, as the First Universalist Church hosts the Pacific Western Regional Assembly. Registration will open in January, and you will all be there, I'm sure, right? It's right in your backyard. Here at Boulder Valley, life is carried on as well. You've had one major staff transition already with the departure of Jessica Lakeman as your Director of Lifespan Faith Formation. And now, Reverend Lydia Ferrante Roseberry is completing her tenure with you after having served faithfully for 16 years. In October of last year, the theme of my reflection with you was understanding the assignment. As I said then, the following is my interpretation of this phrase that's gotten traction in some circles. Understanding the assignment, from my perspective, is being able to accomplish a task skillfully and prophetically, even though there are tensions between the ways of being that seem to pull against each other. It's being kind and tough, smart and humble, current and traditional. I offered some examples of understanding the assignment from our broader cultural context. Supreme Court Justice Ketanji Brown Jackson being on the tightrope during her confirmation hearing, showing respect for the process while also addressing the spurious questions of senators out to discredit her as they appeal to their bases. Or when actress and fashion icon Zendaya balances between her style being appropriate for red carpet occasions while also advancing what is acceptable presentation on those occasions. I noted how all the many committees, groups, and design professionals understood the assignment as it pertained to your expanded and renovated spaces, including this beautiful sanctuary where we are gathered today. I asked, what is the assignment for us today and for Unitarian Universalist congregations like Boulder Valley Fellowship in our troubled times? And this is an extended quote from that same sermon. With a hat tip to the best intentions of the Universalist side of Unitarian Universalism, I offer that our assignment is to love as fiercely and as relentlessly as we know how. Tying into your themes of love, reason, justice, and compassion, the assignment is to love as fiercely and as relentlessly as we know how. To paraphrase the children's television icon and activist Fred Rogers, in a cynical world, we somehow have to make goodness attractive. In a polarized world, we somehow strive to create bridges of understanding and empathy. In a dangerous world, we dare to be vulnerable. In a sometimes too comfortable liberal world, we offer compelling alternatives to the sense of belonging and care that many are finding in organizations rooted in hatred, exclusion, and fear. In a changing world, we acknowledge the legitimate value that predominantly white organizations like the UUA have added, while also breaking the chokehold of historic oppressions of all kinds in our society and in our lives. I would also remind you that there is broader context in our larger UUA around this, even our historical context. I think of Universalist Reverend Hosea Ballou, who said, "If we agree in love, there is no disagreement that can do us any injury. But if we do not, there's no other agreement that can do us any good." I bring to mind our previous UUA president, Reverend Susan Frederick Gray, who said, "The understanding that love and justice are inseparable is reinforced by the stories and theologies of Unitarian Universalism, that no one is outside the circle of love." When we show up, as some of you may have, in very bright Side with Love t-shirts, who's ever worn a Side with Love t-shirt? A few of you have. When people see us show up at rallies, they say, "Oh, they're the love people. We're the love people." And if you've seen the graphic for the revision of our UU values that's represented by the Article 2 Commission, you'll see that there's a chalice in the middle of it. And what's in the middle with that chalice? The word love. Yes. So, in answer to the question posed by the title of today's sermon, what's the assignment now? I say to you, it's the same as it was a year ago. The assignment is to love as fearlessly and as relentlessly as you know how. The passing years will continue to create new contexts in which to fulfill the assignment, but the assignment itself is constant. Changing circumstances will require different approaches and means of fulfilling the assignment, but the assignment remains the same. As a congregation, you loved Reverend Lydia fiercely last year as she brought you through the pandemic and through this massive building project and everything else. You loved her relentlessly when the end of her ministry was way off in the distant future. And now her time with you will be finished in just a few short months. Love on her as fearlessly and as relentlessly as you know how. And while you're at it, love on yourselves and each other in that same way. Now, I'm confident there are those who, some of you are listening here now and thinking to yourselves, "Oh, but if we had done this thing differently, she would be staying." Or, "If I had said that other thing instead, things would have turned out another way." I'm here to remind you that the only reason Reverend Lydia is here is because all of her predecessors left. Right? Some of you remember back before the beginning of Reverend Lydia's ministry here when Reverend Catherine Harris was serving. I'm sure when she resigned as minister, there were similar emotions to what people are feeling now. The loss, the uncertainty, the regret, the anger, the sadness, they are all part of the package. Let's go back to the guest house with Rumi, as translated by Coleman Bartz. It's so good it needs repeating. This being human is a guest house. Every morning, a new arrival. A joy, a depression, a meanness, some momentary awareness comes as an unexpected visitor. Welcome and entertain them all, even if it's a crowd of sorrows who violently sweep your house empty of its furniture. Still, treat each guest honorably. It may be clearing you out for some new delight. The dark thought, the shame, the malice, meet them at the door laughing and invite them in. Be grateful for whoever comes, because each has been sent as a guide from beyond. Reverend Catherine left an excellent foundation for Reverend Lydia's ministry to begin, and I know Reverend Lydia leaves the same for her successor. I also know that for a generous, loving minister like Reverend Lydia, nothing would please her more than for the congregation to continue to grow and thrive, even beyond whatever her own limitations and capacities were. For those of you who only know Boulder Valley Fellowship and/or Unitarian Universalism through Reverend Lydia's ministry, be encouraged. While Reverend Lydia's expression of ministry is unique to her experiences and visions, she's not the only minister capable of serving this congregation and the communities of Boulder Valley well. We have many prophetic, energetic, wise, and inspiring colleagues. Reverend Summer and I and so many others in our UUA will do all we can to support you in identifying those people who would join you in both the short and the longer term. For those of you who remember ministerial transitions from before, and perhaps from other congregations, share those stories. What worked and what didn't work. Tell how you moved through those many unknowns of that time frame to new possibilities. Be generous with your wisdom or with your strength, experience, and hope. Show what it's like to revere the past, but trust the dawning future more, as one of the songs in our hymnal, Singing the Living Tradition, says. I'm so happy today. I've seen your works, and I know you understand the assignment. I know you know how to celebrate, and you are already planning things that will surprise and delight Reverend Lydia as her ministry here draws to a close. I know you have exceedingly capable and caring leadership, faithful people who will both ensure that everything is done well with regards to Reverend Lydia's departure, while also ensuring optimal health for Boulder Valley Unitarian Universalist Fellowship going forward. I know you will find the balance between making sure things are done well, while also making space for each other's humanity and imperfections. Quoting a song from the Broadway musical Wicked, I know that because you've known Reverend Lydia, you've been changed for good. I know that because you've been changed for good, all these surrounding communities and this state and this region and our nation and the world will continue to be blessed. Mary Oliver put it succinctly this way in one of her poems, which I learned this morning was the beginning of Reverend Lydia's resignation letter. To live in this world. Whew. To live in this world, you must be able to do three things. To love what is mortal, to hold it against your bones, knowing that your whole life depends on it. And when the time comes to let it go, to let it go. You might say these words differently than I would, and I've used many different words over the course of these minutes. But I ask you, the you that dwells beneath the surface of life's ever-changing tides, do you understand the assignment? I'm glad to know that. And if you don't understand the assignment today, then hopefully someday you will, and that day might be soon. May it be so. Amen, Amen, blessed be, and Ashe.
We're going to sing a hymn from our hymnal, kind of arranged for us by Tad, called I Know I Can. It's number 1015 if you decide you want to sing along. You should know that this is not a new hymn, and the language in it is a little dated around gender. So bear with us and enjoy. Sorry, 1015.
Oh, I'm so sorry. Yeah, let's rise and body.
Oh, sorry. I didn't know we were standing. That's all right.
Just wanted to make sure.
Yeah, yeah.
Carry on, verse 2.
My sorrow heals my soul, and burdens make me strong. Though troubles may every turn, I know I can go on.
Amen. We can go on. You will go on. We will do well. And we're going to move right on to announcements. We can go right on into the announcements. So every Sunday we have an Inquirer series for both newcomers and people who've been here a while to learn about the various facets of congregational life. It's in here at about 15 minutes after the service ends. It's also available on Zoom. Zoomies can come, stick around in that Zoom room. And this week's is about our social justice programs, and we do a lot in that area, so stick around and you can learn more about that. Next Sunday, you can learn about our small group ministry and our covenant groups. We have a memorial next Saturday at 2 p.m. for Pat Robinson, who was a beloved founder of this congregation along with her daughter Elizabeth. And so please join us. 2 p.m. here, I will be officiating. Pat was also the second president of this congregation in 1980 and 81, a very tumultuous time. The founding of a congregation is never anything for the faint of heart. So we are standing on her shoulders. Our fellowship is hosting a combined Thanksgiving potluck with the Boulder UUs here. It will be here on Thanksgiving Day from 2 to 4. There was a sign-up form emailed a couple weeks ago. Did I hear somebody's? No, sorry. Because I saw an email about whether that form was working, but yes, but it is working, I hope. If you have questions, see Kathy Allen. That's the best thing I could say. If you have questions, see Kathy Allen. And there's a poster posted in the bulletin board with pertinent information. And if you're on Zoom, see the chat for the sign-up link for that event. And now we will extinguish our chalice. Yeah. Yes, you can.
So great news, we have had our certification renewed as a welcoming congregation. Hey.
And I think we should have another applause for Clara, who just kept us moving along. Thank you, Clara. And now we will extinguish our chalice. Please say the words along with me. We extinguish this chalice, but not the warmth of love, the light of truth, nor the energy of action. These we carry in our hearts until we meet again. And now I invite you, as you are comfortable doing, to rise, embody your spirit, join hands, link arms, or give yourself a hug, which I will do today. I'm going to do the give yourself a hug thing. And please allow the gift of touch to remind you of our profound interconnection with one another. And because of our interconnection with one another, we are interconnected with all of creation. Let us remember that we stand on the shoulders of those who have gone before us. We stand in the abundance of Mother Earth. We stand in community. And so being, we gather strength to go forth. Blessed be. Amen.